Alrighty, well, welcome to my first Creator Cut video. Pretty much the idea behind this is I'm going to be watching one of the videos I made on my main Minnow channel. In this case, it's going to be I tried getting addicted to World of Warcraft, and I'm going to be sort of reacting, but mostly talking about behind the scenes stuff. So whether it be editing or just the idea behind, why I played the game, what I'm doing in the clips, and tidbits, stories, anything else that goes along with it. Hopefully it's interesting, but if not, whatever. Also, if you haven't seen the video, I would probably recommend you check that out first. And without further ado, let's just get into it. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, before I get into it, let me explain the idea behind the video. So I'll just play probably random footage of an unrelated game in the background here while I ramble and yap about. But World of Warcraft is obviously it's one of the most addicting games in history. That's what a lot of people know it as. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is or was. It was just one of the big popular MMOs, if you don't know. And when I was a kid growing up, super young, I played, I think it was only for a month because they're month-long memberships. I doubt that I paid any more than 1 month. I barely even knew what I was doing as a kid. But I think it was Radio Shack was going out of business, and so they were selling World of Warcraft physical copies in the store for dirt cheap. And so that's how I bought it, and my cousins played it, my older cousins. So I knew from them what the game was. And for that 1 month that I played the game, I read the user manuals. I played so much of the game. I loved it. I had multiple accounts. I didn't really get that far. I just kept creating new accounts as different characters to spawn in the different locations. And I legitimately loved it. I probably was addicted as a little kid. And I dreamed about it every night. It was, full on, full blast. 1 month of just World of Warcraft, left, right, center. And I was a undead warlock, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing in this game. So my idea for this video, well, I just kind of wanted to play World of Warcraft again, see what it was like, sort of for that old time feel, and I just kind of thought of the idea of addiction. Let's see if it happens. I'm also trying to replace Overwatch, which I play currently still play that game every single day almost. It's my go-to, relax and chill game, and I'm looking for a new one. I wanted to see if World of Warcraft would have been it. I guess let's play the video here. Compulsive, chronic, physiological, or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity. Facts. And as it turns out, I'm pretty familiar with it. Heck, you might be too. You see, also, I should mention the Black Ops 1 background here is... I just love Black Ops 1. I thought it was a really cool background because I wanted a little TV screen for my transition at the beginning. I thought it was neat. And I was also merging the font from normal font to video gamey font, sort of hint at video game addiction and whatever. I'm not saying video game addiction is like a real thing, or it's nothing compared to actual addiction, so it's sort of a joke. I don't want to be too serious about it. I thought it'd be kind of funny to try to go for a serious intro vibe, but yeah, it's not. I'm not actually going for that. When it comes to video games, everyone has that one that they always go back to. The one that you have over 1,000 hours in but still say is so unbelievably trash. Yup. Well, for me, that's Overwatch. But I'm ready to quit. And after looking through research on what drug addicts do when they're struggling, I found that my original plan of stopping completely and going cold turkey most likely wouldn't work. Thankfully, there's a much better solution. It turns out that the best way to quit is to become addicted to... Hey, look at my little video in the background. Little Sea of Thieves 48-hour journey on the screen. My man, Winston, checking in with the banana, chilling to a video. That's all I have. Something way stronger. And it just so happens that Big Pharma Blizzard has been cooking something else for years. So join me as I try to become addicted to World of Warcraft. And in particular, classic World of Warcraft. If you're like me, then you didn't know that there are 2 versions of this game. The retail one, which is the game that's out right now, and then classic, which is pretty much the original game when it first released. Also, does anyone know, I mean, I'm sure someone knows, but why did they do this? Do they do this for other games where they continuously update, and then at some point they're just like, you know what, let's make 2 games, but our second game is just the old version of the current game? It's so weird. The whole classic version and the new version. It's just odd. Didn't know that was a thing. I like it though. It's cool. But I don't know. Does anything else do that? So without many of the new expansions and updates, I did go into it first trying out the retail version, but it felt wrong. I needed the source. The Coca-Cola before they removed the Coke The game that prompted headline after headline claiming addiction, obsession, and ruined lives. I mean, that's what we're after here. The game that lives rent-free in people's minds and on lists across the internet as the most addictive game ever created. Seriously though, oh my gosh, there are so many articles about World of Warcraft being addictive. And I think it's because it was early internet back then and like people were still so anti-video games, like, oh, it's the end of the world. But man, oh man, the whole storm. Very interesting looking back at it. Which led me back to Classic. So let's get started. I whipped up a character and spawned into the world for the very first time. And I've got to say, I was already feeling pretty good. The game was easy enough for me to complete quests and hard enough to make me feel that I've accomplished something. And this feedback loop is one of the largest components that makes this and other games so addictive. As I continued to gain rewards and level up, my brain continued to release dopamine and reinforce the connection between the two, similar to gambling in a casino. In other words, my plan was already in motion. Heck, I was even invited into a guild, which is an in-game group of players where This guild is actually pretty cool. I don't know much about guilds, because I don't know much about World of Warcraft, but they're actually really nice. You can kind of see in my little bottom left chat box, they invited me and I was like, can beginners play this, or do you have to know how to play? And they're like, no, we're chill, we're chill. I didn't like talk to anyone in the guild or anything, but it was actually pretty annoying because there are so many. Every time someone in the guild like joined the game or left, logged out of World of Warcraft, it would make like a noise and pop up. But they're still cool. I like them. We can all talk and help each other out. So with meaningful social interactions and relationships added to the list of reasons to play. It is true though, the meaningful interactions and everything. I mean, for video games in general is a huge deal. But for World of Warcraft, I know personally people that have met in World of Warcraft and like, gotten married because of meeting in World of Warcraft, which is crazy. And of course, it's not just this game, but I feel like it's easier in MMOs just because you stick with the same character the entire time. You can actually talk and like hang out. It's neat. It's very interesting. I think that's a super cool thing. I love hearing stories where people make their lifelong friends there. I continued to do exactly that. Time started to fly by. I made an imp friend to keep me company, created goals such as getting a mount at level 20, completed quests left and right, and replaced my imp with someone cooler. Stupid imp. And discovered all sorts of new areas around me. And it's this continuous, endless introduction of content that keeps players engaged. Whereas other types of games end, whether it be a storyline or just a match, World of Warcraft does not. There is no story to be told, and no match to complete, but rather a character to be, and a world to live in. Everything I'm yapping about in the video is kind of just from articles that I read, where they talked about why World of Warcraft, or at least why they thought World of Warcraft was so addictive. And I mean, it's pretty true. Everything's kind of true in a way, but I feel like everything now is different. Like League of Legends is not really close to World of Warcraft, but it's probably up there on lists currently, or like Fortnite or whatever. It's just any game. Games are just fun. That's what it boils down to. Take me, for example. After dying multiple times to the crypt boss and finally defeating them with... I actually died so much to this guy. I didn't show much, but I died so many times and I just left for a while. And I think it was like the last quest that I finished in this area. It was like the first main village that you come across as an undead, I think. But it's a good town, a little town of Brill. I remember it from when I was a kid. That's why it was cool. Nostalgia actually carried the first like 10 hours of me playing this game, which I have to imagine are not very fun for most people because it's just a grind fest. But it was fun to remember everything that I did as a kid, and also just listen to podcasts. It was actually a really good chill game, which is exactly what I was looking for. So if you're into that, go for it. Just one health remaining. I didn't so much feel accomplished in real life, but I did so as my character. It was Minnow the undead warlock that just barely escaped with their skull, and who finished every quest in the small town of Brill, becoming a hero, and someone who will be remembered there in the game. I was paving my own path and creating my own experience. And soon along this path, I hit 50 tasks completed. This was a milestone for me. After that, I made more friends, killed bigger enemies. I did not make any more friends. I tried, but I didn't. Browse the local market. I actually didn't really try. I just said that, but the occasional walking by someone and they're like, hello, and you go, hello. It's the extent of making friends. Markets, learned new trades, and explored further out into new lands. Days have gone by at this point. I had spent 15 hours playing the game. Was it really this easy? Have I become addicted? If so, how would I even know? I wasn't sure. But then a day went by without me playing.
and then another.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's tough to admit, but during this time,
I relapsed back to Overwatch, and I indulged there for quite a while. But I was eventually able to take a step back and remember my vision, my new purpose. I wasn't ready. Do you? I'm sure a lot of people probably remember this, but this is the South Park. I didn't even watch South Park, but this episode was, of course, extremely popular in media. And I wanted to add way more like actual media references to World of Warcraft, like the greatest freakout video ever made, or not video, the greatest freakout ever, or whatever that's called. You know, the guy that takes a remote controller and like tries shoving it up his butt or whatever he's doing in his room. Um, interesting videos. Actually, when I was editing this video, I went back and I watched a few of those like greatest freakout things, and it brings back memories. Crazy how YouTube was different back then. That guy's still around too, doing I don't even know what he's doing. I think he still names his videos like the greatest freak out ever, but it's just like a music video. And who knows? Was it all fake? Probably, but like whatever. It's interesting. What a time to give up. I mustered up the strength to put it back down and reopen World of Warcraft, and decided that this time I would take a new approach. Just playing the game wasn't enough before, so I needed to take it up a notch. Oh yeah, so it's at this point, I did take a big gap. It was probably like a month in between and I was kind of done playing World of Warcraft at that point because I played the Reminisce back in, glory days. Not really glory days, I was like 10, but, just trying to remember, and it was fun. I had a good time. And then my membership like automatically renewed for World of Warcraft, so I ended up paying another, I don't know what it cost, like 15 bucks, and I was like salty about it. So I was like, all right, well, shoot, I guess I gotta go play the game again and maybe make a video out of it so I don't feel so guilty about accidentally paying for a month and doing nothing with it. And my idea was to, try to actually become, quote unquote, like addicted, but just try to enjoy it more. And my idea was just to eat Sour Patch Kids every time that I finished a quest. So, like, finish a quest, boom, pop a Sour Patch Kid. Like an incentive, not only to play the game, because it's the only time I eat Sour Patch Kids is when playing World of Warcraft. And the only time I get to eat them is when I finish a quest. So, it's supposed to push me forward. That's the general idea. Firstly, I had 1 week before my subscription ended. Yeah. After that day, I will either succeed and renew for another month, or fail and fall back to step 1. In order to maximize my time and effectiveness, I would try to play every day. Repeated exposure is a key element here. True. I think I've just played like 2 hours a day. I mean, I'm not going crazy here. I don't have all the time in the world, people. 2 hours was plenty. And I wanted to utilize it to my full advantage. But if that wasn't enough, I had one final trick up my sleeve. You see, we know that the dopamine from completing quests and leveling up is an essential part of what creates these urges to play. So I'm gonna make sure that I get more. How? Well, with sugar, nature's gift and curse. I would grab my favorite candy, Sour Patch Kids, and pop one every time that I accomplish a goal in-game. This would hopefully create enough reward in my brain to keep me coming back. And as an added bonus, you like that little transition? I don't know if it looked good or not. I thought it was a neat idea when I grabbed the Sour Patch Kids. I was like, oh, what if I like showed the screen and then I just zoomed in on my phone and then also had it recording. I think it looks kind of cool though. So I found it useful to keep the candy close by during the day. Hey, look at him over there. Wasn't playing, as a sort of subtle reminder. But when I was, it was great. Yeah, I was seeking out new places to grind more experience and found myself enjoying the game more than ever. That's true. So when I first jumped back in, I was not in this area, wherever this area is called. I don't even know. Whatever this area is, the Orc Zone. Before I got to this zone, I was still in the other one, like the little Warlock Forest area. And it started to stink there because everything was so hard. All the quests were such a higher level. Well, not that much higher, but like higher enough where if I was one-on-one with someone, I win. But if I'm 1 versus 2, I die, like every time. And so I was making 0 progress, which also meant I was eating 0 Sour Patch Kids. And my mouth was just watering over here with this stupid bag open next to me. So eventually I made it over to this zone, which was a bit lower level. And it was way more fun. So that was a huge move. Look at all these quests I have. I would grab as many quests as possible and run around finishing whatever came my way. I ended up obtaining the mount that I previously set a goal for. I discovered new areas that felt completely fresh, and the bond with my character was stronger than ever. Actually, I don't even talk about that much, but discovering new areas was probably my favorite part of the game. Combat wasn't like that fun. It's pretty old, It's you just sit there, especially as a warlock. You literally just stand there while my Voidwalker goes, smacks him, and I just hit like the one button on my keyboard to shoot a fireball or shadow bolt, whatever it is. And exploring though was pretty cool. The environments are really like kind of nice. When it changes like a lot, you go from this desert zone into a pretty forest. They actually did a really good job. I was shocked. That was my favorite part of the game.
It went on like this for a few days more, and it was
Oh,
actually
this is the Thanksgiving quest because it's like Thanksgiving currently in real life whenever I'm playing this game.
going so well that I figured it would be interesting to take a day off and see how I felt. Unlike my break
Yeah, me taking a day off is just me forgetting to play because of Thanksgiving. Not forgetting, but I was just traveling around, so yeah, it wasn't really a planned day off, but it was
before,
interesting
though, this one
to
was
see.
purposeful. I wanted to see if I would experience any withdrawal symptoms.
Ooh,
Because if I
withdrawal.
did, well, then that would be a fantastic sign and reassure me that my plan has been working. But I didn't. Shoot, this was bad. My time was running out fast. I didn't know what to do, so I threw a new flavor
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the second screen thing.
of Sour Patch Kids into the mix and up my dose.
The blue raspberry flavor is so good.
I
Oh,
also
wait,
made
here we
my
go.
environment a bit more
Look at these little pictures here. I I thought it was so funny to toss in a couple picture frames. There's the red shirt guy. It was just hilarious. I love that guy. I feel like everyone loves him. And they actually added him into the game, which is just the coolest thing ever. He's a little fact checker. If you don't know the red shirt guy, you should just look up clips. He's pretty great. And then the other one is the Leroy Jenkins little huddle. It's right before he runs into the room. Two historical moments, I would say.
more motivating to keep myself from straying away from the game, and then dove right back in to play out my final days. And speaking of, I actually found out that I have more time than I originally thought.
Oh, snap.
That's one more day to become addicted. So I tried to fit in as many action-packed quests, as much adventure-filled exploring, and I even began to dip my toes into the world of dungeons.
All right, dungeons. Everyone hypes up dungeons. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's definitely a lot more action. You get a ton of XP. I mean, I was leveling up so easily. Like it feels like a waste of time to actually go around the world, but I prefer to go around the world and do my own quest. The dungeons just felt stupid to me. I don't know. I just don't get it. I'm just standing there doing the same thing I normally do while everyone else kills them. But it was cool though to see areas and different enemies.
These are pretty much larger quests that are both more rewarding and social than me just running
Look
around.
at that. Look at that ceiling in here. It's a bunch of like tree roots or ivy. I don't even know what they are. Thorn bushes. It's a cool environment. I like that. They did a good job. Whoever did that.
around the map alone, which was a great change of pace, and perhaps it was the perfect way to cement myself into the game before my deadline. And speaking of such, it wasn't long before my last day neared its end. So with what could possibly become
Oh, the cockroach. Love this little guy. I wanted to buy this cockroach pet, so he's like a little pet in game. And I wanted to buy him ever since the very beginning. But I never did. Oh, that reminds me. Back when, the pets, this is something I don't even know. But when I was a kid and playing this game, one of the things I wanted was like this robot chicken, or I have no idea what it was, but it cost something like 200 gold, which is a lot to me at least, as someone who probably in game right now. I don't even know what level I am at this in this clip, but you know, my entire 30 hours, I probably got like 3 gold, 4 gold, maybe. It'll probably show it
the
actually.
last few hours in
Actually, maybe it won't. But when I was playing back in the day, I wanted this robot so bad, but I didn't know how to get gold. So one of the other accounts I created was I just called it like, I don't know, like basically I was just a homeless guy and I was just asking for gold. So I think the name was Please Give Me Gold, and I just entered in. I went to the most popular city at the time, and I just danced and constantly spammed chat saying like asking for donations. So I was literally just a homeless guy in World of Warcraft asking for gold, and I got 200 gold through that. There were just a couple people that came by and just dropped off like 50 gold, which I don't know much about the game, but to me that was an insane amount, like more than I've ever made. It was just crazy. It was also just it was a funny thing, literally homeless in game asking for gold on the street. Wild times.
World of Warcraft, I cherished them. And before I knew it, it was time to make a decision. So, what would I do? Have I been sucked into the game just like millions of others around the world and renew my subscription? Or would I leave my character and my 30 hours of investment behind and fall back into my old ways?
Oh boy, the decision. Uninstalled, yep. I was not playing it.
Yeah, no, I tried. It just didn't work. All in all, I had fun, but it's not for me.
And I certainly didn't learn a thing about addiction. I mean, true. Again, not about addiction. Mostly just a joke. I mean, I'm just here to play games. Although I do think I have a Sour Patch Kid problem now.
Anyways, there's
it's
a quote. Today's World of Warcraft is tomorrow's Pong. And I think that they may be.
I think that quote's pretty true, though. Like, I mean, it's not a deep, meaningful quote or anything. It's just saying how, the game of today that's so popular and big gets old so fast. Just the way technology moves, at least the way it used to move. Maybe a little bit different now. Current games will probably stick around a lot longer. We're already kind of seeing that with, like, even video game consoles now take, like, 8 years for a new one to come out, whereas it might have took... Well, actually, I don't even know what it used to take, but I feel like it was less. Games are just improving less. Anyway, Sun Tzu did not say that. I just forgot who said that quote.
You're right. So, what do you think the next big game's going to be? Or maybe be like?
Also, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others. Well, look, I made an Overwatch one.
And although I didn't become addicted to World of Warcraft here, there is still one question left to answer.
Is it more addictive than crack?
So, join me in part 2 where I dive nose first into the world of cocaine.
Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, I feel like I didn't talk that much about, behind the scenes editing because there wasn't all that much here. Just a lot of clips. Again, probably played for like 30 hours, just roaming through the game, doing my own thing. And then for the second half, eating Sour Patch Kids on the side. And I did eventually have to stop not eating Sour Patch Kids, but I did find that eating a Sour Patch Kid after every quest was not enough Sour Patch Kids because I was completing quests too slowly. So, like, if I discovered a new area or if I just made progress somewhere, I would eat a Sour Patch Kid. And I did try. I did kind of try to see if that worked. It just didn't really work. Well, it might have. The game just wasn't that fun. I don't know. I mean, it's an old MMOs. MMOs aren't my thing anyways. So, a lot of fun, though. I really enjoyed taking a look back at World of Warcraft. And it was actually very well worth my time. I don't know if I would ever play it as, like, a newcomer. I think most of my enjoyment was because I used to play just for a short amount of time. Nonetheless, there was still a lot to see. And I don't know, maybe later in the game. Everyone says the end game's a lot of fun. Who knows? You gotta tell me if you play the game. Otherwise, pretty much it. That's kind of what this video is all about. Talking about the game, my experience playing it. Sometimes I'll talk about my experience editing the video, but nothing too interesting here. I like my intro a lot, though. I did work on that a little bit, switching out the backgrounds, trying to figure out the best way to go from talking about, the definition of addiction, hopefully present the idea. It was pretty a loose idea throughout. Again, I just throw it together as I make the video. There's nothing concrete in a lot of these things. But yeah, anyways, hope you enjoyed. And if you have any ideas for what I can talk about in the future for other types of these, then please let me know. I mean, I'm just kind of messing around, sort of just time to hang out with you. So yeah, have a good one.